You Owe Me One Universe by Chad Lucas, Chapter 14, Bohemian Rhapsody, Part 2. Ezra. As I got ready for school, I checked our group text. There wasn't anything new since our conversation last night. I read it again. Kevin, so are you coming back to school now? Brian, I don't know, not tomorrow. Me, I'll pick up homework and stuff for you. Ty, let us know when you're ready, B. We got your back. I kept glancing at my phone, hoping for a last-minute update. Changed my mind, see you at school. But it didn't come. I wondered if I should text him some encouragement. He'd said it had helped when I nudged him to talk at the sleepover, but I didn't want to be pushy or annoying, and I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. When I stepped inside Halifax North, I wiped steam off my glasses from the change in temperature and tried to stop thinking about Brian. Right now, I had to find Victor. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but I felt bad about what I'd said to him. I'd looked for him on Monday, but he'd been with Colby whenever I saw him, and yesterday I hadn't seen him at all. As I passed the music room, I heard the piano. I peeked in and spotted the back of Victor's head. I crossed the room, trying to be loud enough that I didn't startle him. He finally looked up and stopped playing. That's the beginning of Bohemian Rhapsody, I said. He gave his tiny smile. It's fun to play. It sounds great. Are you doing it for the talent show? I haven't decided what to play yet. You? Same. Do you come here a lot before school? Sometimes. Suddenly I had questions. How long have you been playing piano? What bands do you like? But between his short answers and raised eyebrows, I figured he wanted me to get to the point and leave him alone. I let it out in a rush. I need to apologize for Friday. For real this time. Brian told me you really were trying to help, so I'm sorry I tackled you. I'm sorry I didn't believe you, and I'm really sorry I called you a psychopath. That was gross. I told Miss Willerman all this too, so she knows it wasn't your fault. Sorry. Victor's face wavered for a second before it was back to stone. Apology accepted. That's it? I didn't know what I was expecting, but Victor was just inscrutable. That was the word. I blew out a breath. Should we shake on it or something? Sure. He stuck out his hand and I shook it. Victor had long fingers perfect for playing piano, and his grip was strong. He watched me with his head tilted as we shook hands, and my cheeks suddenly grew warm. I'll let you go back to playing now. I started for the door. There's something you could do to make it up to me. I paused. You accepted my apology. I don't owe you a debt or anything. True, but I could use a guitar player. What? I'm working on this instrumental. I think it could use some guitar. Victor pulled out his phone. I can play you what I've got so far. Of course I was curious about what kind of music Victor was making. He set his phone on the ledge of the piano. As the music played, he sat perfectly still. I wished I had a clue what he was thinking. If I was playing him something I'd recorded, I'd be nervous as heck. His song started with simple repeating piano chords. A sparse beat and bass line came in next, then an airy synthesizer. A tinkling melody wandered in and out. The piece had a lo-fi electronic vibe, but there was a hint of tension too. It made me think of sitting on the porch of an old house as the wind picked up and rustled the wind chimes. Victor hit pause. You get the idea. It loops like that and then fades out. That's cool, I said. You did all that on a computer? He nodded. It needs something, though. I'm thinking your guitar might beef it up. Nothing complicated, just... I know what you mean. I already could hear an idea, filling the spaces where the melody dropped out. Not too much. I like how it sounds so open. Some swells might sound good. Yeah, that might work. I can send it to you if you want. If you come up with anything, I could bring my laptop over and we could record. I nodded and gave Victor my number before the homeroom bell rang. He sent me a link to his song at lunch. I saw the notification while I was eating with Kevin and Ty, and a flash of heat passed through me. Is that Brian? Ty asked, and I felt horrible. I shook my head. I should check in with him, though. I texted Brian so I didn't have to talk about who was actually texting me. Me. How are you? Want me to come over after school? He wrote back just before the end of lunch. Brian. I'm okay. Gabe's picking me up later. Mom says if I don't leave my room, she'll read love scenes from romance novels out loud until I melt from embarrassment. She's a monster. Anyway, you can come over if you want to, but no pressure. This was more than he'd written in a while. That was a good sign, maybe. And he was hanging out with Gabe, so he was in good hands. I wrote back, you guys go ahead, talk to you tonight. I didn't tell him that I couldn't wait to work on music for Victor, but it was true. Ideas were bubbling up, and I couldn't wait to get home and pick up my guitar. After school, I headed to my room and looped his song on my phone while I tried out different riffs. I played around with my reverb and delay pedals to change the tone. I made up my own bits of music sometimes, and I'd learned lots of covers, but experimenting over Victor's loop was a new kind of thrill. It was like he'd handed me a cake and I could decorate it however I wanted. Chocolate or vanilla icing, sprinkles, M&Ms. Mom knocked. Ezra, dinner's ready. You didn't hear me calling? I hit stop and noticed the time. I hadn't left my room in 2 hours. Mom looked at my guitar slung over my shoulder and smiled. In the groove, huh? We'll take a break and come eat. After dinner, I texted Victor. Thanks for sending me your track. I came up with some stuff I like if you want to hear it sometime. He wrote back a few minutes later. Cool. I could bring my laptop over tomorrow if you want, or tonight if you're not too busy. Me. Tonight? Victor. Why not? I checked with Mom and then I wrote back. Sure, you could come tonight. Then I gave him my address. My belly fluttered as I hit send. Chapter 15. Keep shooting. Brian. My knee bounced as I sat in the passenger seat of the Collins car. Gabe still hadn't told me where we were going. When he picked me up, he only told me to get ready to play ball. I told him I couldn't handle going to a public gym or being around a lot of people. Trust me, I got this, he replied. I did trust him, but my chest buzzed when he pulled into the school parking lot. Trust me, he repeated before I could ask why he brought me to a place I'd been avoiding. He parked, sent a quick text, and led me to the gym doors. My chest buzzed worse when Coach Williams opened the door. He was in a t-shirt and shorts. He shivered against the winter wind. Good to see you guys. Hurry up and get in here before I freeze. I slipped inside and joined Gabe in peeling off my outer layers and lacing up my sneakers. Coach tossed me a ball and I warmed up, slowly dribbling between my legs and around my back, feeling the ball spring back to my fingertips. It had been too long. Gabe caught a pass from Coach. Did I ever tell you this guy was my hero when I was a kid? He asked me. DeMarco Williams, Nina's step back on the East coach. He was usually working out at the Y when he wasn't lighting it up in high school and university, and he'd always made time for kids like me who followed him around. I spent hours practicing this shot. Gabe fired a step back jumper and let his hand dangle in the air as the ball swished through the net. Coach laughed. Guess I taught you well. It was strange at first, the three of us in the gym at night, but the tightness in my chest faded as Coach and Gabe joked and talked about Coach's college days. We ran through some shooting drills, then played a couple rounds of 21. I was wiped after an hour, which was frustrating. I used to be able to run forever. Still, being sweaty, tired felt better than the heavy exhaustion I felt lying in my room. I was glad Gabe made me do this. Your shot looks great as ever, Coach said as we rested against the stage. I still wish you'd shoot more in games. We'll keep working on that when you're ready to come back. My chest clenched again. You still want me on the team? Brian, of course, Coach said. I wouldn't cut you if you sprained your ankle. I'd help you work back into game shape when you were healed enough to play. This isn't all that different. Come to practice when you're ready, whether it's tomorrow, next week, whenever. And I'm here around 7 most mornings, so you can start the school day by shooting around, if that would help. I bit my lip. As much as I was dreading school, basketball was the one thing pulling me back. Tonight reminded me of how much I missed having a ball in my hands and being part of the team. Maybe it was somewhere I could be more than a useless sack of sadness. I glanced at the clock on the gym wall. You're still here tonight and you're back by 7? Do you live in the gym, Coach? He and Gabe laughed. Cracking a joke felt good, too. Why are you doing all this for me? I asked. I mean, I appreciate it, but you have to deal with, every kid in this school. Coach was quiet for a long time. My college roommate was the best teammate you could ever ask for. He played his heart out every time he was on the floor. And in the gym, you'd have sworn he was the happiest guy on earth. Coach rubbed his forehead. But when he was done playing, after his senior year, he paused long enough that I knew the story didn't have a happy ending. I wish we'd talked more about life outside of basketball, Coach said quietly. I wish I'd asked him more often how he was doing. Now that I'm a teacher and a coach, I don't want anyone to think they have to suck it up and play or pretend they're fine when they're not. He looked right at me. You're a great kid, Brian. If there's anything I can do, you let me know, okay? I want to see you keep shooting. I nodded again. My throat had gone tight. We packed up and said goodnight to Coach. When Gabe pulled into my driveway, I thanked him for taking me out. Of course, he said, giving my shoulder a squeeze. Love you, B. Love you too, I replied. After the workout and a hot shower, I felt good enough to text Ezra a simple, hey. I thought about texting other things too, like, how are you, or I miss you. Maybe tonight we could just talk, like I hadn't been able to in weeks, and things would feel normal again. Maybe Ezra could even talk me into attempting school again. But the minutes ticked by, and half an hour later, he still hadn't written back. My courage faded. Maybe I'd spend one more day at home after all.